Hi, GFR. My name is Abigail Shonrock. I am a behavioral health consultant at ECU Family Medicine. Today, I will be checking in with GFR doing Tailboard Talk number 11. Just as a reminder, ECU Family Medicine and GFR have this collaboration wherein we provide trainings on mental health and related topics. So today, our topic is going to be healthy eating. And I'm really excited to be talking to you guys today. A lot of my research and clinical interests lie in eating and weight behaviors. So I'm excited to get started and talk to you guys about healthy eating. Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple different things today, but we're going to go over what it means to eat healthy. We're going to talk about what the facts of eating healthy are as a first responder. We're going to talk about things that can impact a first responder's eating choices. And we're also going to talk about how to make small, realistic changes to our eating choices. And at the end, we're going to do a practice activity where I go over a sample meal or some meals that you might have on a typical shift. And then we'll talk about changes, those small, realistic changes we can make to improve our eating. So, eating 101. Eating is a really important part of our lives. It's something that's very central in a lot of our lives. It's important for sustaining our lives and for some social things as well, which we'll get into. But basically, when we eat, our stomach stretches a little bit and sends signals to our brain to signal fullness or hunger. Eating actually helps reduce our stress by activating those pleasure pathways in our brain. Eating feels good. It tells us that we're living, we're surviving, and a lot of foods can trigger, good feelings within us. However, sometimes we eat for reasons other than survival, right? We may eat out of stress, boredom, even other emotions like sadness, anger, happiness can all trigger eating. The important thing to know about eating is that eating healthy provides a number of benefits, including improved energy, concentration, lowered risk of chronic health diseases, and even improved mental health outcomes. So not only is eating beneficial from a survival standpoint, but when we eat healthy, we have all of these health benefits, which is why it's really important for us to understand why we should eat healthy and what eating healthy involves. So what is healthy eating, right? I think we hear this term a lot where it's kind of this buzzword, different people have different ideas of what healthy eating is. You may have even heard of some, kind of fad diets like keto or Atkins, South Beach. But healthy eating really comes down to regular eating. So eating maybe 3 meals, 2 to 3 snacks, or evenly spacing out your meals every 2 to 3 hours. And by doing that, we reduce binge eating. We reduce the likelihood of consuming more food than our body needs in that moment. Healthy eating also involves the quality of food, right? Choosing foods that will provide us energy, that don't give us that icky feeling or maybe some tummy aches. We don't want that sugar crash, right? The quality of food is so important in what healthy eating is. Portion size is also important in healthy eating. So, balancing our portions, making sure that a lot of the foods are adequate, that we're not eating too much or too little of one food, which really goes along with that balance of different foods, right? There's no really good foods or bad foods. Some foods are just better or healthier or give us more energy than others. But that doesn't mean we want to eliminate foods that don't give us that same energy. It's really, really important to balance all of our foods because eating only a certain way for the rest of our lives is fairly unrealistic. A lot of those diets, which I'll get into, don't really account for our lives and our busy schedules. So it's really important that we, one, schedule regular meals that have high quality foods that have balanced portions. And that's what healthy eating really comes down to. So let's talk about food within the emergency, services culture. So food within the firehouse increases camaraderie, feelings of togetherness. Now, I recognize when the pandemic started, this piece of camaraderie and teamwork may have shifted a little. I'm not sure if it's gone back to normal, but certainly this teamwork, this team feeling has been a past trend within emergency service culture. And then food and eating together, having those meals where the crew is sitting together, laughing, making jokes, talking about the day. It's really important in reducing stress. And so, while historically this has been true, we do hope this can continue in the near future as people start to get vaccines, as the pandemic starts to even out a bit. But the other thing is that even though we have this food aspect and that creates that family feeling, that togetherness, that centeredness, wait times between calls may result in boredom eating or eating when we're not necessarily hungry. And that's something we want to cut down on or eliminate. It's estimated that more than 70% of EMS shift workers are either overweight or obese, and that rate exceeds the general population. It's currently estimated that about 42% of US adults are overweight or obese. And so you can see there's about a 32% difference, right? So it's really a risk. Obesity and overweight are a significant risk for emergency service providers. Now, CVD, cardiovascular disease, is the leading cause of death for first responders, which is significantly correlated with overweight or obese. Overweight and obesity tends to predict cardiovascular disease. So by cutting down on, our weight or trying to lose weight or even just eat healthier, eat those higher quality foods I was talking about, we can cut back on our risk for cardiovascular disease. Now, the other thing is, even if we did want to lose weight within the emergency services providers, commercial weight loss programs do not fit this on-call culture, right? That first responders typically have. It's actually pretty difficult to maintain a healthy lifestyle with that regular eating, especially because of the nature of on-call work. So, we have a lot of good aspects of food within the emergency services culture, but we also have some cons that, emergency services culture can contribute to a limit on how we can eat healthier or choose quality foods that will prolong our health or help us feel better about ourselves. So what impacts our healthy eating choices? I mentioned that some of that on-call culture might impact our healthy eating choices, but so certainly that food culture, right? Family style meals, which are meals that are served in big bowls. You can have as many servings as you want. They're passed around the table. They're not delivered in portion sizes, which, as I said, is part of healthy eating. It's having those balanced portions of food. So family style culture goes against portion sizes. It doesn't help give us a balance of food. Often these family style meals may be high fat, low quality on the go foods. So that's something to consider in terms of that food culture of the family style meal. Sleep is another aspect where we're impacted on our healthy eating choices. So shift work impacts the body's natural sleep cues. Caffeine use increases our metabolism, limits good sleep, and lack of good sleep. So, that shift work, that caffeine use, that limits our lack of our good sleep habits, which creates this lack of good sleep. And lack of good sleep slows weight loss and actually increases the hormones in our body that keep us hungry. So when we're working on call, we're trying to keep ourselves up with caffeine, we're actually increasing our body's hormones that keep us hungry. So we're hungrier frequently, meaning we're eating probably a little bit more than we need to sustain ourselves, which leads to weight gain. Stress is also a big factor that impacts our healthy eating choices. So stress produces cortisol, a hormone that impacts our ability to sleep, which connects back to the lack of good sleep, which slows weight loss, which increases our hormones that keep us hungry. And so, of course, we know chronic stress increases the risk of obesity, diabetes, pain, sexual dysfunction, and concentration difficulties. As first responders, you guys are exposed to a lot of stress. And I know that previous behavioral health consultants and these Tailboard talks have covered the negative impacts of stress. So this may be familiar to you guys, but cortisol, it's really important that we know that stress impacts our healthy eating choices, not just our chronic health conditions, our sleep. Stress really impacts everything in our lives. And the last thing that might impact our healthy eating choices is trauma. Exposure to traumatic events increases the likelihood of maladaptive or disordered eating, including binge eating, restricting behaviors, and purging. And the research shows that those who experience trauma are more likely to binge eat than those who do not. So, again, as first responders, you guys are exposed to a lot of traumatic events, meaning that you are already at an increased risk for disordered eating patterns. So, the food culture, stress, trauma, and sleep of your jobs really impact your ability to make good choices around food and provide that quality balanced portion sizes that we need to sustain our bodies and our mental and physical health. So, what do we do about this? We know that we have these things that are impacting us. How can we make the small changes? I mentioned earlier that those commercial weight loss programs like Weight Watchers, Atkins, South Beach, Curves, all of those programs do not account for the on-call culture. They're not very tailored to you guys. You know, typical diets, these goals are set by the program. It's a one size fits all goal, which is typically lose as much weight as you can as quickly as possible. And there are forbidden foods, which, as I mentioned earlier, isn't realistic to our lifestyle. You know, it's not healthy or realistic to cut out certain foods. So these typical diets are not helpful. They're not healthy. While they work for some people, they're really not great for most of the general population. So instead, we want to approach healthy eating with a small changes lifestyle or a small changes mentality. In this small changes lifestyle, these goals are set by you to work within your lifestyle. What works for you may not work for the person sitting next to you. So we want to remember it's important that these goals are set by you, they're meant for you, they're tailored to you and your life. It's also about making informed decisions about food that does not involve feelings of restriction, feelings of deprivation. Like I said, that balance of food is part of healthy eating. Now, we may want to increase our intake of certain foods like whole grains, lean protein, fruits, vegetables, but we still want to leave room for foods that we really enjoy or foods that are really special to us. Like for me, for example, mac and cheese, ice cream. You know, part of a healthy diet is having that balance of foods that are healthy and have quality foods, but also not restricting ourselves and not depriving ourselves of things that we enjoy and find joy in. So when we talk about small changes, you know, it seems intimidating, right? Where do I start? So we want to remember this acronym, QQF, quality, quantity, frequency. Now, like I said, we want to eat high quality foods to have healthy eating habits. So quality refers to altering the quality of your food you're eating. So instead of fried chicken, you could request grilled chicken. You know, we want to make those substitutes to change the quality of food. Another example of quality would be using low-fat milk instead of whole milk. Those are all ways that you can change the quality of the food that you're eating. Now, another way to make small changes would be to change the quantity of food that you're eating. So just altering the number of food that you're intaking. So for example, we're going to have fried chicken. Who doesn't love it? Instead of having 3 pieces of fried chicken, have 2 pieces of fried chicken. And by doing so, you'll reduce the number of fat and fried foods that you're eating, but still have room to enjoy the food that you like. Alternatively, we could change the frequency of the food, right? So altering how often we eat certain foods. So instead of eating fried chicken 3 times a week, change it to once per week. And in doing those small changes, we'll eventually increase the quality of our foods, increase the balance of our foods, and reduce portion sizes. Like I said, those 3 things contribute to what we consider healthy eating. So the QQF, quality, quantity, frequency, is what we need to stick to make those small changes that will work for you within your lifestyle. And so we're going to go through, like I said, a step-by-step practice of changing that quality, quantity, frequency. So if you, for some reason, have the opportunity to eat a meal, you know, I just wanted to go over that this can be a quick guide of what should be on your plate. This is what a balanced portion of high quality food would look like. So you have, maybe about a quarter of protein, and you want to stick with that lean protein. So chicken, fish, low fat pork or beef. You also want to have just over a quarter of grains, and those are going to be whole grains, right? So whole wheat bread, whole wheat pasta, quinoa, brown rice. Try to avoid white rice if you can, but if you can't, think of that QQF. How can I change quality, quantity, frequency? You also want to have about a cup of dairy, so maybe a yogurt, a low-fat yogurt. Cottage cheese is an excellent source of dairy. That's good fats, good protein as well. You can also have plenty of fruits and vegetables. You see that about half your plate should be fruits and vegetables, and colorful fruits and vegetables, right? Mix up, not just greens, but mix up other colored vegetables in there as well. And so if you do have that opportunity to eat a meal, which I realize might be rare in the on-call culture, this is a quick guide of how you can gauge, am I having that balance of high quality foods and the correct portion sizes that I want? Now let's talk about this sample diet of a first responder. Now it looks intimidating at first, but let's look at 8:30 a.m. first, right? So think through your last shift. You might be going all day without eating and then binge at night. You need to be eating every few hours, and that is part of healthy eating, regular eating. So knowing what we know now about what goes into healthy eating, what's impacting our choices that we make, and also that QQF system, right? Look at the first diet, 8:30 a.m., right? So you return to the station after a call, you have Bojangles, chicken biscuits, sweet tea. 12:30, you're having lunch, so you're having, a turkey sub, maybe some chips, some sweet tea. 2:30, you're having a Monster Energy drink, maybe a Little Debbie snack cake. 4:25, you get back from a call and you have a bag of Skittles from the gas station. 6 p.m. is that group dinner that we talked about. You're sitting down with your coworkers, you're kind of laughing, joking, reviewing your day, just like a family dinner. You're having chili, you're having garlic bread, and again, sweet tea. 10:30, you come back from another call. You've got ice cream, Dr. Pepper as that kind of late night snack to keep you going, keep you up. 1:30, you had another call. You come back. You have leftover sweets that have been out on the counter since breakfast. Muffins, donuts. Someone's partner brought by some Krispy Kreme. They're left over. You're gonna snack on one. And then 7 a.m., you're gonna kind of wake for the station, clean up, have that coffee, cream and sugar, and head out for the day. Now, again, thinking about what we just learned, let's look at that second diet, right? So 8:30 a.m., instead of Bojangles, you had a Chick-fil-A egg white grilled chicken sandwich, fruit cup, and coffee. You're still going out. You're still getting to eat, out and having that on-the-go meal. But instead, we substituted an egg white grilled chicken. So we changed that quality of the food. Instead of a sweet tea, we substituted for coffee. Now, I know we all love sweet tea, but sweet tea has a lot of sugar, so you'll see that it got changed out a couple times. But if you look at lunch, it's still the same, right? We didn't change anything. And that's because part of having that balance is allowing ourselves to enjoy foods that we want. So it's okay to have the sweet tea, but you'll notice that it's the only meal that we're having sweet tea. So it's really important to say, okay, I can have this sweet tea, but I'm going to limit the frequency throughout my day. So using that QQF, small change. Now at 2:30, we're doing trail mix, grapes. Trail mix and grapes are a great on-the-go snack, and they'll give you a little bit more of that energy and less of that sugar crash that maybe a Monster or a Little Debbie snack cake might give you. Instead of Skittles, we changed to beef jerky. So again, changing the quality of the food there. Now 6 p.m., we didn't change anything, right? So it's still chili, still garlic bread. We did change sweet tea, like I mentioned, but we're gonna have green tea or water instead. And so with dinner, we changed the quantity and the quality. So we changed the quantity to have those portion sizes. So instead of, whatever you weren't sure before, now you've measured it out and you have 2 cups, 1 slice. So you're really changing the quantity, which helps, right? 1:30, instead of ice cream, we're having yogurt with fruit. Like I said, yogurt is a good source of dairy that you need. Fruit will give you energy. The granola will also give you energy. Now, 1:30 a.m., coming back from call, go to sleep. I promise you the sleep will be more helpful than having those leftover sweets that have been on the counter. Have a glass of water, go to sleep, get your sleep, because we talked about how sleep can impact your quality of choices and your overall health. So we want to focus on getting sleep when we can. It's 1:30 a.m., go to sleep. And then, of course, at 7 a.m., again, coffee, no cream and sugar, right? So changing the quality of the food, and having oatmeal. And oatmeal is another good carbohydrate that will give you long-lasting energy. So again, we didn't change a lot. It's not a drastic change. It's not like having to eat salads all the time. We just worked within your schedule, well, this person's example schedule, to use quality, quantity, frequency, so QQF, to make small changes that worked for them, right? Not a lot was changed. We don't expect healthy eating to be this massive diet overhaul where you have rigid rules about what you can and can't eat. We know that's unrealistic. We want you guys to focus on making the small changes that work for you, okay? So in summary, when eating healthy, it's important to balance the foods we eat to improve our health outcomes. We recognize that eating healthy is a challenge for first responders due to a variety of risk factors, including shift work, on-call culture, sleep disruptions, and a sedentary lifestyle. We also want to remind you guys that first responders are at an increased risk for disordered eating patterns due to the challenges of eating healthy, which negatively impacts your long-term health. And finally, eating healthy involves changing the quality, quantity, or frequency of foods to fit your lifestyle. We want to thank you for your attention during this talk and your commitment to our service and community. If you have questions, please feel free to email below and we'll be happy to assist as needed. Thank you guys so much and have a great day.